I'm Feist in Las Vegas, and I'm joined by Hank Goldberg in Florida. And we're going to look at the games for Thursday through the weekend. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there. We appreciate your listening to our podcasts on a daily basis, and we intend to keep doing these through probably through the NBA season. Maybe not every day, but several times a week. And of course, college hoops is going on, and Hank and I are doing very well there. So, Hank, good morning.
Great college basketball game this afternoon, by the way, or later on. I guess it's tonight, and that's Wichita. It's the Maui Classic. Wichita State is playing Notre Dame. That's going to be a heck of a game.
Yeah, they're very well coached. They've got talent, and this is you might see these two teams in the Final Four. They're very good. They're very, very good.
Well, Wichita State is missing one of their top players. They're pretty well loaded, but Notre Dame can score. Should be a high-scoring game. They'll be up and down the floor. Be an entertaining game to watch.
I agree. Well, we got three big football games tomorrow, Turkey Day, and traditionally Detroit is one of the teams, and Dallas is also, and they usually play on Turkey Day. And for a long, long time, Detroit wasn't very good, but they're a whole lot better than they used to be the last several years. You know, now that they have a different coach and Matt Stafford, they play representative football. Minnesota opened to pick 'em. It's now Minnesota 3, and the total is 44.
Well, Detroit has beaten them, I think, 4 straight Thanksgiving Day games, and or has not them, but they've won 4 straight Thanksgiving Day games, and they've beaten Minnesota 3 straight times, and I think they match up pretty well against Minnesota, and you know they beat them earlier in the year 14-7, and that was the game where Minnesota's rookie running back got hurt, and Keenum was green. That was his first game, and they only scored 7 points. But you know, Detroit at home on Thanksgiving game, getting points. All the trends point to Detroit right now, and you know Minnesota had a big game last week against the Rams, where the defense played extremely well. And Keenum played a big game under wraps, and that he was just playing not to make mistakes. Against Detroit, he's going to have to perform a little bit better and open it up a little bit. I like Detroit in the game. I think Detroit is always plays well at home on Thanksgiving, like I said. They're looking forward to this game. They're 2 games behind Minnesota right now. If they beat Minnesota, the race is on for that division. And I think it's going to be a good, tough, competitive game. Probably the best of the, not probably, this will be the best of the 3 games to watch tomorrow.
Well, it definitely has the two teams that are a little bit more quality right now because of injuries and situations with the other 4 teams that are playing tomorrow. So yes, this is a very meaningful game. Has a lot of pressure. It's a division game, and we have another division game also, Giants against Washington, but their division is pretty...
I'll be watching Duke basketball when the Giants play Washington.
Well, I can't blame you for that. The Chargers opened a 4-point dog in this game against Dallas, and now they're a 1-point or 1.5-point favorite. Of course, we don't know fully who's going to be there for Dallas, but they're an injured team, and no, I don't think anybody's ready to give up on the possibilities of a playoff, but Jerry Jones is fighting with the league. Jerry Jones is fighting with Roger Goodell. The team is absent Ezekiel Elliott, and that's one of the reasons Jerry's so upset with Goodell. And the Chargers, now I'm not going to give them too much credit off their win last week. I mean, they played against a guy that should never have been on a professional football team at this point in his career. And they picked up 5 interceptions in the first half and won that game going away. But overall, the Chargers have some quality athletes. And right at the moment, they're a little bit more put together than the Dallas Cowboys, which is why the market has moved it to the Chargers being the favorite, which is an unusual situation considering Dallas as a home dog is, well, they were a home dog last week to Philadelphia, and we saw what happened there.
Well, this is in Philadelphia, but the Chargers have won, 4 of the last 5 games. And it's largely because their defense is so much improved. And it's, they got that pair of pass rushers with the top guy being Joey Bosa, who's a beast. And but their secondary has played well, too. They also have a running game. And I just don't trust Phillip Rivers. But then again, Dallas is without Lee. They don't have a run defense. And I pointed that out last week. And they gave up 190 yards on the ground against Philadelphia. And I think Chargers will be able to run on them. And that sets up the Charger passing game. Lee is the key guy, and apparently he's still out. I'm waiting to get a final word on that before I commit on the game. But this is a big situation for Dallas. They hung in for a half against Philadelphia, and then Philadelphia put them away in the second half. The problem with the Chargers is that they have a habit of giving up games in the second half.
Well, they sure do.
And I think Dallas has a very good quarterback, and they still have a number of good athletes on the offensive side of the ball. They did make an improvement at the left tackle position, but I don't know if they're going to be able to fend off those 2 pass rushers for the Chargers. So that's why the number is swung on the game.
Also, we should consider that the Chargers have playoff implications going forward as well, because in Kansas City has lost 4 of their last 5 games, so they're not exactly on a roll. Denver is a mess. The Oakland Raiders are a mess. And the Chargers have a little bit of a winning streak, as you mentioned, and they are in a position where they could actually overtake the other 3 teams in this division and win the division. So they are motivated. I mean, here's a team that really never plays a home game because they don't get any home support in their temporary home in Los Angeles. But somehow, the way the breaks have gone for them, they've won enough games, and they've given, like you said, they give games away, which is amazing. It probably goes back to the coaching staff, not calling the right plays at the right time. I mean, they do give games away, and that is always a dangerous proposition with a team when you bet on them, when they give away leads and make stupid plays at the end of the game. But right now, it's meaningful for both teams, but one team is a little healthier than the other.
Well, the way Kansas City's going, 8-8 has a good chance to win that division. And like you said, the Chargers have as good a chance as anybody right now. The Denver Raiders game will be important on Sunday. And Denver has changed offensive coordinators, and they also are changing quarterbacks. We'll finally get to see their top draft choice get a chance to play quarterback and see what he can do. And this is a good chance for the Raiders to turn their losing streak around against a defense that is very poorly coached, a head coach who shouldn't be there, and right now Elway is under siege himself for his lack of ability to produce a good quarterback, but it goes beyond that. And, Denver can't get anything going. They're playing miserably right now. And, the Raiders, who were expected to have a good year this year, have not had a good year. And so they're the biggest disappointment right now.
Yeah, they are. There were people thinking they would be in the Super Bowl, and they're far from being a Super Bowl team. They just fired their defensive coordinator, so you have a brand new offensive coordinator for Denver against a brand new defensive coordinator for Oakland, and they're starting a rookie quarterback, not a rookie quarterback, but a really fresh quarterback in Denver. This is a very odd handicapping scenario for these two situations, but right now.
You have no quarterback going against a team with no interceptions.
Yeah. Yes. Something's got to give, right?
Yep. I like the Raiders in the game. I think Carr and his experience will overcome the rookie quarterback for Denver. Denver's playing horribly right now.
Yeah, if Amari Cooper can hold on to the ball when he's throwing the ball wide open, no matter what, he just keeps dropping them. I don't know what's wrong with him, but that's been a big failing for the offense for Oakland. Although their defense isn't very good, but
there's a good college game tomorrow too, Mississippi and Mississippi State, and on Friday there's a huge amount of good college games.
Sure.
University of Miami is going into Pittsburgh. That's a 12 o'clock start. And, there's some very attractive college games on Friday that might be of interest. And, Louisville against, I think Louisville plays on Friday. But it's a full day of college football activity, and of course everybody will be watching Miami to see what they do. I think Miami got their scare last week, and I think they'll be focused on Friday, although it's a short week for them, and they got to go on the road and go to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that is a unusual situation for sure, but Miami, we know who the better team is. The question is whether you want to lay, from the betting standpoint, whether you want to lay 13.5 or 14.
I'm going to give you a game for Friday. Missouri has very quietly been beating the heck out of teams, and I like them a lot.
Well, and you got Arkansas, who's a train wreck right now, and they're going to make some changes in the off season. You're right. Missouri's been red hot.
Yeah, and they're at Arkansas, but I think they're going to win big.
Strange line move in that game. It opened 12. It's down to 10. I don't quite understand who's betting on Arkansas, but that's a unusual line movement, in my opinion. But yeah, we have any other college game? We got a big college game. I think we have an Auburn-Alabama game coming up on Saturday, which is a monster game.
Alabama is a 4-point favorite in that game the last time I looked. And there's a lot of smart money on Auburn.
4.5 now.
But apparently that number's going up a little bit because Alabama's got their linebacking situation straightened out. And, Saban's tough to beat. It's hard to take a position against Alabama. But if Auburn upsets Alabama, that's going to throw that whole postseason tournament situation into an uproar. By the way, Miami, not that it means anything, but they moved into the second place ahead of Clemson, who's third now. But, when Miami plays Clemson in the postseason Atlantic Coast Conference championship game, that'll settle that on the field the way it should be.
Yeah, I'd like to. Yeah, instead of having.
By the way, something. There's a lot of traditional games this weekend. And excuse me, and a lot of teams like Clemson favored over South Carolina. Watch out for that game. Excuse me.
Well,
Clemson has issues in their offense. South Carolina is not that bad. They could give them a game.
Oh,
They always do. And Georgia Tech, Georgia, that's another big rivalry game. And, Georgia's a significant favorite. And sometimes Georgia Tech pulls a fast one in those games.
Well, this is rivalry weekend, and we have a lot of games like exactly. I mean, even a game like Vanderbilt, Tennessee is a rivalry. You got Louis.
Tennessee's a mess.
You got Louisville and Kentucky, and I mean that's another rivalry.
Yeah, remember last year Kentucky upset Louisville.
That's right. That's right. And there's a lot of very meaningful games. Maybe not in the national rankings, but from these standpoints, for these rivalries, in-state stuff, it's very, very important to these kids. Arizona State, Oregon State, Oregon. You got a lot of very interesting matchups.
Washington State. That game's going to be a brawl. And, of course, my friend is the coach of Washington State. He's a character, but he's also a great coach. That game's going to be fun to watch.
You got a 10-point line in that game. That's
Yep.
That's very well. Hank, you got anything special you want to talk about before we sign off?
There's a game between. Somebody asked me this question about Miami. Have they ever been a 16-point favorite underdog again? Which is, I think, the current number 16 and a half against New England. And in 2007, they were a 24-point underdog against New England. So that's the answer to that question. They haven't been a bigger underdog in their history. And they are in awful shape, this Miami Dolphin team. But Belichick is complaining about how much the Mexico City trip took out of his team. There is one game that I'd be cautious about, and that is the Saints going out to play against the Rams. And the Saints next week have Carolina, so that's a big game for them in their own division. So the Saints, after a tough win last week, they may get caught in a little bit of a sandwich situation. Careful of that game.
You're right. That is an interesting scenario there. The Rams are 2.5-point favorite in the game. The Rams are coming off a pretty embarrassing loss. But the Rams have played a very easy schedule until last week, and that step-up game against Minnesota, they did not do well at all. They scored early.
No.
Got up 7-0, and then just 55 minutes, they did nothing. They could not score. Now, so the question really comes down to, are the Rams ready for these primetime games against upper-level teams? And there's a big difference in the NFL this year between the upper level and the bottom level. I mean, you start playing some of the bad teams, it's not easy to win, but it's a lot easier. And when you're playing the Minnesotas and the Philadelphias and the New Orleans and all those teams, things get a little more difficult. So if the Saints are focused, it's going to be a tough out. But if they're not focused, coming off that game last week where they were way down and came back to win it, and then have the big games with Carolina coming up, this could be a game where they are flat. It's possible. And that's a good point you brought up there, Hank. Excellent.
It's a long trip, and it's like you said, coming off a 29-point comeback last week, and the Rams do have some defense, so we'll see.
Well, Rams have great defensive players. This is a well-rounded team. They're not a fraud, but their record might be a little fraudulent because of the soft schedule. When you look at strength of schedule, they don't rank very high. So that is an issue going forward. But thank you, Hank. We're going to have an exciting weekend. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there.
You too.
we have a lot to be thankful for.
I used to have a great time on Thanksgiving. We used to have Thanksgiving dinner for Thanksgiving for people without loved ones, and we used to invite a lot of people over who everybody hated.
Oh, that's an interesting scenario. That's a funny line, Hank. You have a great one. We'll talk soon.
Okay, you too.